Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 4 of my tutorial series for Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. I'm Icon and today we're going to dive beyond dungeon level 6. And before we get started with the actual gameplay, here's a little bit of theory, crafting, and background knowledge about the game at this point. So whenever you manage to reach the ecumenical temple in your runs, you can congratulate yourself when you're a beginner, because that's basically the first milestone. The ecumenical temple will always spawn and give you a certain amount of gods to choose from. Sadly, for my game plan, the proper one wasn't there, but that doesn't matter too much. We will eventually find the god we are searching for. The next big milestone to achieve is the entrance to the Lair of the Beasts, which will be around dungeon level 9 to 10. 8 to 10 if I remember correctly. The Lair of the Beasts will be the first so-called side branch of the game, because it's not all just this boring old dungeon. There's also side branches which follow a certain theme, and reaching that entrance, well, I hope that's what we're going to manage to do this time. We are now getting closer to the point where things are less and less problematic though. The +9 maze that I acquired in the last episode was a massive find. Everything with a +9 that is not just a club is actually worth using for a while. And it also came with a set of really useful resistances, so we are now bolstered against poison, cold, negative energy at the cost of a little bit of our strength, but seriously, strength 18 is still pretty solid. A word of a worthy, or I want to mention here what's happening with the resistance to cold here. See, some of these have only 1 pip and some of these have more pips. So 1 pip is resistance, 2 is strong resistance, 3 is nigh immunity, but there's no such thing as a total immunity against any of these things. Resistance to poison, for example, doesn't mean you are immune to poison. You will just take less damage over time whenever you get poisoned, as a matter of fact. It decreases the total potency by a massive amount, but you never get rid of the status completely. So in this dungeon level, we're facing a little bit of an orc pack. They confused me. Confusion is one nasty thing, because while you're confused, you are unable to block. That's a little bit nasty, but at this point, orcs aren't really any competition whatsoever anymore. With that weapon we got right now, we basically should be able to kill everything in our way without any problem, if I take it correctly, that is. So here we see a pack of undead, which we haven't faced yet. Necrophages and wights. Necrophages and wights are both enemies that can drain life. So drain life will effectively reduce your skill levels until you have regained experience to recover the drain life force. This is particularly dangerous when you are being hit by that repeatedly without killing the enemies quickly off. Wights also come quite often with heavily enchanted gear. So for example, here's a +5 mace on that dude. Here's a +4 falchion on that dude. Luckily these weapons aren't branded, so we're just going to run away for now. And make sure that we're going to take this combat somewhere else. Somewhere where there's nobody close by, and somewhere where I can at least guarantee that there's only 2 of them at once. But here's the beauty of being a Minotaur. You deal a lot of damage as soon as you have a good weapon in your hands. So we are now at our next level up. I'll be taking strength from here on, and we're going to have a good time with that one. Oh, there's a Cyclops. Cyclops are really, really nasty. Consider them as a ranged version of the ogre. The worst part about them is they can pack quite a punch in the melee too. 35 damage, that's melee damage, and large rocks as a thrown weapon. But here again, let's use the Atropa darts, and he resisted that. Oh, he has only a 3% chance to be blinded. Okay, so we have to rely on our martial prowess, but you see, that dude went down with just 2 blows. Well, guess that weapon will carry us. It happens quite often in Dungeon Crawl that you have the extreme luck to find a weapon like that that will pretty much carry you through the game, and you can henceforth just play happily. So here we face yet another unique Pikal, the Merchant of Souls. So this dude always comes with a bunch of lemurs, which are his minions, and as soon as you kill Pikal, these dudes here disappear as well. They are bound souls to this dude, so we actually will do something good if we kill him, but the situation ain't that beneficial for us. Pikal comes quite often with nasty ones, so I wanted to break the line of sight by standing behind that pillar and letting them come towards me. Whenever you face dangerous enemies, look for corners where you can break the line of sight as good as possible, because they will head towards you once they've seen you, and you will have a direct access to them without your enemies being able to fling spells at you or discharge wands at you, all these things. So I'll be auto-exploring right now because I feel pretty confident right now. So Scroll of Blinking has been picked up by auto-explore, and we're really in a position where I feel like that even could win us the game. Speaking about winning the game, since we are now going into the mid-game, to win the game you have to acquire the Orb of Zod. So far, so good. But to do so, to get there, you will have to open a door which can be only opened with runes that you have to acquire. Runes are basically like keys, like put them into a lock. You need 3 of those. There are in total 15 different runes in the game that you can acquire, and they all come with their own side branch that you can explore. And you have to pick up 3 of those, so you have to explore 3 of these bonus branches of the game to actually get access to the realm of Zod, where the amulet, where the Orb of Zod remains lies. That's another side branch, but we get there when we get there. Okay, I found a couple of nice things and a couple of less nice things. So my last ID scroll brought up a potion of attraction here. Sorry, I went over that without comment. So potions of attraction are among the reasons why you don't want to randomly drink potions. The potion makes the drinker attract enemies, translocating them quickly closer. So that means you will have a lot of enemies on yourself when you drink that. If you drink that while you are already in a bad situation, stuff gets only worse from there. That's a good reason why not to drink these potions blindly. Here's the first mummy. Mummies are really nasty. They are slow, quite hard hitting. I mean, 20 points of damage is pretty much, but not at this level anymore. We are at 80 HP. But they got another nasty part, and that's, oh. No longer do I suffer a curse when I kill that mummy. Okay. That got removed from basic mummies. In older versions, mummies gave you a nasty side effect whenever you killed one. Maybe the higher tier mummies still do. So we're going downstairs now. And Dungeon 8, let's take that carefully. There's a Orc Priest, but at this point, these enemies that were once quite dangerous turn more and more into trash mobs. The +9 mace carries us quite hard, because not only does my character deal a lot of damage with that thing, I also have this spectral companion that also wreaks havoc upon our enemies. I really like that one. So let's take that stack of orange potions, and it's potions of flight. Potions of flight are very, very situational, but believe me, when you need them, you do need them. So since we're that strong now, we're going to auto-explore a little bit more. Gozak, Iridelanul, and Ru. These are all gods that I don't want to worship. And there's a Tengu Conjurer. So that's the real first super bad enemy here. Tengu Conjurer. Tengu are bird people. They are fast, they can fly, and this one can fling lightning bolts at me, and he can also blink. Iskenderun's Battle Sphere is a spell that fires a projectile whenever you cast a spell. It creates a little companion thing. So we have to take that dude really seriously. So I'm walking all the way back and using the old break line of sight trick. So we're waiting now until he heads closer, breaking the line of sight one more time. And now I'm going to try my luck with the Atropa Dart one more time, but it also has a chance to blind a 3-person, so I'm not really fond of that. So we're going to step once forward and start whacking and hope I'll just take him down without suffering too much damage. So I took the first lightning bolt, but that only dealt around 11 points of damage, or no, 9, and boom, off we go. With enemies like these, it looks very easy if you lure them around corners like I do here, but if you don't, they easily tear you apart with several lightning bolts in a row, because you need to respect with the enemies, they basically aren't limited in their skill usage. I think there are internal cooldowns, but I haven't really worked it out yet how they work, and I only figured out one thing. If an enemy has a nasty skill, you never know when he'll use it the next time. Once you had it in your face, it can be sometimes 2 turns after, and therefore, yeah, use that to your advantage to lure enemies around corners and stuff like that. Here, those whites, well, are totally ripping them apart. So this one is a +4 Dire Flail. The Dire Flail is a 2-handed version of the Maces, and we don't use 2-handed, as you all know. So, Orc Warrior. Orc Warriors are the first melee orcs that you have to take seriously. This dude is wielding a battle axe, and his base damage is 15. 15 base damage, plus usually pretty nasty weapons too. Take them seriously, especially when they come into plate armor like here. But with that weapon I got here, I'm just destroying everything. So whenever you get that lucky with a artifact weapon, rejoice. If you're not getting that lucky, you wait until you find a weapon with a decent brand. For example, something like a... Well, I'll show you when we find it. Don't you worry, I got you back. So I'm auto-exploring now because we're obviously taking down enemies with ease. And here's the point where you have to be really careful. Whenever you are kind of like overpowered for an area, hubris kicks in quite quickly. So remind yourself that death can come very quickly in this game. Only because you're steamrolling a part of the game right now does not mean that the dungeon will eat you alive on the next floor. So we're going downstairs one more time. We are done here, and D9 should be the area where we are finding the entrance to the Lair of the Beasts, which will be quite entertaining to enter, and this will be the real test then, but more of that once we hit the spot. Okay, I just opened a vault with killer bees. Okay, killer bees. Killer bees are nasty. They're fast, they're extremely good at evading, and they're extremely poisonous. They can also sting for effing 10 points of damage, and they come always in packs. Luckily, my character is already resistant against poison, but in a scenario like this, I would even consider teleporting away, because they will swarm me now, and there's no natural choke point in the close vicinity here whatsoever. And with killer bees, it's really important that you make sure that you find a point where to fight them, where only one at once can get you. But I am somehow confident that we're going to win this even, no problem. I just have the luck of having a +9 weapon, making it extremely difficult for my character to miss. The real trick the real power in that weapon lies in the fact that it almost never misses and has a pretty nasty base damage bonus. So here's our first pack of Yak. Yak are intermediate HP, but they deal a lot of damage, and they are practically the standard mob of the Lair of the Beast. You will kill a lot of Yak in this game. So we're going to take the first of them, and they are basically a good check whether or not your character is strong enough to tackle the Lair of the Beasts. We found a Ring of Ice. Rings of Ice give you a bonus again to cold resistance, but since they are Rings of Ice, they also give you a vulnerability against fire. But to mitigate that, they will enhance all your ice spells. The power of your ice spells will be larger while wearing one of these. There are also Rings of Fire that work like the counterpart of that. Okay, this one I can already notice that this is the entrance to the Lair of the Beasts. Mushrooms and bushes are the usual markers. You gotta be careful with that, and it's good to memorize these because this shows that there might be danger around the corner. Entrances to certain dungeon branches tend to come with a variety selection of monsters that are unique to this biome. So in this scenario, we're facing a black bear and a water moccasin. These are pretty dangerous enemies. The water moccasin is like the adder's big brother. But, you know, like I said, we're not facing too much trouble here. The water moccasins are usually really dangerous because their HP pool is pretty high for a snake, and they evade pretty decently too, but, you know, we're pretty good at shutting down evasion in general. You've already noticed that. So we are now taking down the bears too, and worried about bears in general. Bears go into Berserker Rage once their HP fall low enough. And Berserker Raged enemies are really, really nasty. They are faster, they are hitting harder, and they look like that. They have that nasty little face there in the down right corner. And, well, if something berserks, don't even try to run away from it. Try to take it down as quick as possible or teleport away. But preferably take it down, because they will do the same thing the next time they go low. So you better be prepared for that. This is a trait that's on pretty much every bear, so you'll respect that. So there's a Makleb altar. My god, why is there no Okawaru? So I wanted to pick Okawaru because Okawaru is an extremely good god for beginners in general, because gods are offering very, very big alterations to your gameplay. Like, you have to work to please your god henceforth. Ha, there's Okawaru. So you use these shrines just as you use staircases. So you kneel, so you use the down staircase thing, and you see a little bit of description there, and you see what kind of powers the god will grant to you. So Okawaru will grant us the ability to gain great temporary skills. This will be a skill boost, so every combat-related skill will be boosted for a while. He can speed up my combat, that will reduce my attack speed even further, and I can force an enemy into a duel, which is really, really cool, because that means if there's a huge bunch of enemies and there's one dude which I really need to take down to win the rest, I can force him into a godlike arena. I've never tried it, it's a new skill, but I'm looking forward to do so. And most importantly, Okawaru will gift you equipment as you gain piety. And that's the real nice part about that. If you really want to be pelted with gifts, Okawaru is the dude to go. You just press enter to accept the god then after you have kneeled, or escape if you don't want to. So now we are a follower of Okawaru. That means whenever I kill something now or do anything else that pleases this god, gods have several different likings, I will gain piety. Piety is now depicted behind my character, up here above my health bar. And when the piety is high enough, I will gain powers and I will gain equipment and stuff, and I will gain piety for killing things. You know, I did that already before. So here's a steam dragon. Steam dragons are usually quite nasty dudes. They are the smallest kind of dragon you usually face, and decent HP, not too much evasive things, but they can spit a steam ball at you with a lot of damage, and you will also have a cloud of steam below you that will deal consecutive damage. So when these spit some steam at you, just move away from that tile, or it will deal consecutive damage. But right now, well, this item I got there is warping the experience here by a lot. You might be already noticing how much of a difference it makes here while we're exploring that. Almost no enemy is a real threat anymore, and this is a really, really dangerous place to be. You have to stay alert, though, especially when something new comes around the corner. So once you have hit the Lair of the Beasts, there's two things for yourself to ask yourself. Am I already capable of resisting poison and fighting everything super easy? Okay, you're ready to go into the lair. If you're not resistant to poison and combat is a little bit struggly still, stay in the dungeon until you hit something that you don't want to fight anymore, and then you run away and get into the lair. We're going to clear out dungeon a little bit deeper now, because from my own experience, most of the time the dungeon is still easier than the Lair of the Beasts. The Lair of the Beasts comes with only 6 levels, and when you're down on the lowest level of the Lair of the Beasts, you will find a special area down there which has a theme and will be pretty hard and deadly. So the gist of it, try to clear the dungeon as long as you can if you're not too comfy. This dude here, I would immediately send him into the lair, but I feel like going into like going for a little bit of more dungeon and start the lair at the beginning of the next episode. So here we have a little bit of an Orc Army, and always check the warriors first. If the warriors aren't wielding any really dangerous items, you're good to go. Warriors can sometimes also wield magical weapons, and that's when you have to be really careful. So I've made it a habit to check them at least out. The more experienced you grow, the more likely you will notice that bluish tint that magical weaponry has quickly. But yeah, there's an orc priest now around the corner, and I don't like that. So I'm stepping around the corner now, and we're inviting the orcs into the room, because the most important part for me is that the orc priest can't see me. This way he can't use his spells on me. And another fun fact about orc priests, the higher the piety on your god is, the lower the damage from their smite is. They basically deal more damage the less pious your character is. And here is an altar of Bayok. That's one of the special gods I was talking before about. So this is the god of the orcs, and if I try to worship him, he would kick me out, because the orc god is a freaking racist. He only accepts orcs and nobody else. If you happen to start as an orc though, you can have the super special powerful orc god, and every freaking orc out there will start to be a worshipper. It's a lot of fun. We can do that one day soon too. So let's get going though. I'm getting ahead of myself. So here we're seeing another hat, but we already got a hat, so I don't worry about that. Centaur Warrior Zombie, no problem. We're pretty much smacking everything, and I'm pretty sure that this will continue now for quite a while until we reach really nastier enemies than that. Another unknown scroll, that's good. Scroll of Amnesia. Scrolls of Amnesia allow you to unmemorize spells that you have learned. For us here, they are among the most useless items around, but, well, for mages and spellcasters, they are pretty good. There's a Wraith. Wraiths are nasty. They slow you when they hit you. They are pretty good at evading, but, you know, we're smacking them. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend Minotaurs to beginners because Minotaurs tend to have this killing potential quite often. And there's a two-headed ogre down the road. These are really nasty. They are basically like two ogres at once. They can't attack twice. So you see here, 15 damage plus Giant Spike Club, 20 damage plus Dire Flail of protection. This dude even has a protection branded weapon. So in this scenario, I'll see what I can quiver. So I have now access to my Heroism ability, and let's press small A to check that out. This is invoking your abilities, and Heroism comes from the god here, and it has a failure chance of 10%. You can learn using these better by skilling invocations, and I'd say we gotta do that now because we're a follower of Orc Warrior now. So a two-headed ogre is really something I'd rather not face right now, so I'll just run away and get into the first levels of the Lair of the Beasts, or no, we're just going to check out the other staircase here. It's really important, like I mentioned before, that in this game you keep reminding yourself that you don't have to kill everything. See, it's even okay if that ogre stays on this floor, but it would be kind of like tragic to lose the XP. And from this moment on, whenever I leave a monster like that on the floor, I stop auto-exploring. What you can also do, press capital X, and then move that cursor wherever you want to be and press enter to move there once the cursor is there. There's a book that I've already learned. But I turned off auto-explore now because I don't feel comfy with the knowledge that there's a two-headed ogre in town that I don't want to meet just unprepared. So I'll be walking carefully. Zombies, by the way, in general, are almost always harmless because they are slow and they don't deal that much damage as their original counterparts do. Usually, you shouldn't be too worried about them in general, especially not with this character. That's wargs. So wargs are orcish hounds of war. They are pretty beefy, decent damage, and they come in packs. That's, well, probably their most nasty part. No, their most nasty part is not that. That's because that's the part that they're fast. But for us here, well, they did damage, you know, and they needed several swings. And here is the entrance to the Orcish Mines. The Orcish Mines are, like you already guessed it, another side branch of the game where we'll encounter tons of orcs. Cyan potion identified, and that's the potion of degeneration. Like the vibrant red color already might tell you, this is a piece of bad news. And I think, yeah, server lags. Wands of Degeneration, potions of degeneration serve no other purpose than to troll you when you quaff unidentified potions. They reduce your base stats severely, and that will last for a while. You'll have to wait and will normalize over time. I think potions of curing help there too, but I'm not sure anymore. So there's the two-headed ogre, and I'd say we've seen enough of this place. Let's get upstairs and leave that two-headed ogre for himself, and we're gonna get downstairs to the Lair of Beasts and stick our head downstairs for a moment. So, like I mentioned before, this is your first side branch, and you already notice the environment looks different, and the Lair of the Beasts is exactly what's on the label. There are no humanoid enemies by default whatsoever in here. It's all animals. And sadly, that comes with a unique set of extremely annoying and dangerous enemies too, especially the poisonous ones. But we're gonna get into that in the course of the next episode, because the Lair of the Beasts, if you reach this point yet again, congratulations yet again, you have successfully reached the entrance of the mid-game. The Lair of the Beasts is really a hard place to survive, and clearing it out is something that, well, it took me really a long time until I finished it the first time successfully, and even to this even now, it is a place where I regularly blow up my characters because there's a lot of nasty roadblocks there that will make your life miserable if you don't know how to tackle them. But more about that in the next episode. I thank you so much yet again for watching. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I do, and feel free to drop me your questions and comments and whatnot down there. Leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and of course consider subscribing. I do daily content. All you need to do is hit that notification bell and you won't miss anything there anymore. See you guys next time. Bye bye.